everybody. I'm Megan Schaefer. I am the Career Services Coordinator, and I manage Handshake as well as a few other things in the office. So I will go over kind of the process of setting up your schedule for the virtual fair. And then we have a pre-recorded video that's about 2 minutes long, just showing the product and what it would look like when you're actually doing the virtual fair. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have a short presentation that is going over the fair. I do invite you, if you're already registered for one of our fairs and your registration has been approved, you're welcome to follow along and set up your schedule while we're doing this presentation. I will say that before you get started doing that, it is best that everybody that will be attending the fair from your organization have a Handshake account already set up. It makes it a bit easier for you in the schedule setup, and it means you won't have to go back and make edits later. So let me put this in a presentation mode. All right, can people see my screen? Just want to double check. All right, I'm going to take that as a yes because I didn't see anyone saying no.
Yes, we can see your screen, Megan.
Okay, great. So we are going to do a quick preview of the virtual fair tool within Handshake, as well as just some setup process for you guys to use as you're setting up your schedules. So we will discuss adding recruiters.
I'm sorry, Megan?
Yes.
We are seeing your edit mode and not the presentation mode.
That's what I thought. So let me try this again. There we go. This should be better.
Yes, that's good.
Okay, great. All right. So we will we'll go over adding recruiters to the virtual fair. So again, everybody that should be involved in the fair, it's best if they go ahead and create their Handshake account before you start the setup process. We'll discuss how to schedule the video group sessions. So these are the group sessions. They host up to 50 students if you're going to use Handshake to deliver these. And you can have up to 3 group sessions. We'll go over assigning recruiters to those group sessions, building one-on-one schedules for all of the recruiters that should have a schedule, how those recruiters will then be able to edit their availability, and finally managing schedules. So after you have them set up, if you need to go back and view who has taken a slot in your schedule, or if you need to make any edits. So the first step is actually to register for the fair. So if you haven't registered for one of our fairs yet, that would be the first step of the process. But once you're registered, somebody from our staff will likely approve your registration. If they don't, they'll reach out to you specifically about why that might be. But generally, almost everybody that registers gets approved. Once you're approved, you're going to receive the email that is on the right of this slide. It contains a link, this red button here, add schedule, and that gives one person, whoever is listed as the schedule owner on the registration, that will give them access to build the overall schedule for your organization. When you click that link within the email, it will take you to the fair page associated with your registration. You have some options here in a submenu, kind of toward the middle, right under the name of the fair. It might not default directly to schedule, so you can click schedule if it doesn't take you to this screen. But to begin setting up your sessions, you'll want to click add sessions. And then the first step in this process is to add your recruiters. You will see a list of everybody associated with the Handshake profile for your organization. So anybody that has an active user account will show up on a list here. You will be at the top. Whoever the schedule owner is always at the top. So if you're part of it, you can click yourself, but if not, you'll see everybody else in an alphabetical list. I edited out everybody else on ours because we have a really, really lengthy list. So just for their privacy's sake, you'll only see me here on this screen. But you can put a checkbox or check the box next to every name that should be part of this schedule. And then you would just click next at the top, or I mean at the bottom. The next part is you're going to set up your group sessions. So as mentioned, you can have a total of 3 group sessions. They're each 30 minutes long. You can't adjust the length of time. So it's a 30-minute presentation or meet and greet, whatever style you want to do that in. And they must be scheduled on the hour or half hour. So no 15-minute start time. It has to be on the hour or half hour. It defaults to using Handshake as the video client here, and Handshake can host up to 50 students. So with that in mind, if you anticipate seeing more than 50 students, you can use an external video platform, and students will just be given the link to that platform, and you'll set that up in this process. You can have different group sessions. So as an example, I put in a career counseling session at SLU, and then I did an employer relations session. So for students who might be wanting to work with career services, they can either learn about career counseling or employer relations, kind of the 2 sides of our operation. To add another group session, you'll see add another session at the bottom of the previous session. So again, you can do that up to 3 times. And then in this editing screen, you can delete a session if needed and make any edits to the time and description. Once you have this set, you can confirm your sessions at the bottom. And then you can assign recruiters to each group session. You can have anybody that's attending on behalf of your organization, they can be part of any or all of the group sessions. So as an example here, for the first session, only myself is listed as the leader of this session. But for the second session that I set up, both Carl and I would be in attendance. Assigning recruiters to your group sessions will automatically block out their time in their one-on-one schedule if they will have a one-on-one schedule. Once you have the assignment set to your preference, you would click Assign Team at the bottom right. And then you can begin setting up the one-on-one session schedules. So any of the recruiters that you checked in that first step, the checkboxes next to their name, have the ability to have a one-on-one schedule. And you'll follow the next 2 steps for each recruiter. So if I were to add a schedule for myself, I would need to click the Add One-on-One Session, and it will take me to the following screen. It's going to prompt me to choose whether I want to set preferences for this session or not. So you can set preferences for the type of student that you want to be filtered into each individual schedule. So if I'm only seeing freshmen and sophomores, I can set that up in the preferences screen, while Carl might only be seeing juniors and seniors. This will restrict your schedule to the students that meet those qualifications. And you can set all of the following qualifications. So the earliest or latest graduation date. So this is great if you're hiring in a specific timeline and you can have students that are graduating in December or May. So you can add both of those graduation dates. You can do school year, so just whatever their school year is by number of credit hours. You can do a minimum GPA. So if your positions have a minimum GPA requirement and you only want to speak to students that meet that requirement, you can set that minimum GPA. You can set majors. In Handshake, these are general majors, since every school is unique in the way they name majors. So they actually split them up into just general major groups, and you can if you click on one of these major groups, you will see an expanded list, and you can remove certain majors that might not be applicable. And then finally, work authorization. So if you are able to hire students who might need work authorization via OPT or CPT, then you can set that qualification and kind of filter those students in or out of your one-on-one schedule when appropriate. Whenever you have qualifications set, if you're choosing to set those, you would click at the bottom, add and schedule sessions, and that will set the one-on-one session schedule for that particular recruiter. You would repeat this process for each recruiter that would need a one-on-one session schedule. And then if you click no to this previous slide here to say that you do not want preferences, then you'll skip this screen altogether. Once you have individual sessions set for each recruiter that should have a schedule, you'll be prompted to confirm your schedule and invite your team. So each individual recruiter will then get an email, and it will allow them to review their schedule and block out any sessions that they might not be available for. So they will, in that email, they'll get a link and it will take them to this screen. And they're able to go to each 10-minute session, click the 3 dots to the right of each session and mark as busy. This will remove the session from the student side, so students would not be able to take this session, but it does remain on the schedule in case they can open it up later. So the slot will kind of just be grayed out here. You'll see the 2 group sessions that I set with both Carl as well as, so me on the first one and then Carl and me on the second one, so you can see who's there. You do have the option to cancel these sessions as well. It doesn't automatically revert this time into individual sessions, and so we'd have to go back to the beginning to edit that availability. So this is kind of the halfway point. This is the end of setting our schedule. I want to do a call out for questions if anybody has them. I know I went pretty quickly, so I'm happy to revisit any particular area. And you can either chat the questions or you can unmute your video or voice. Well, great. I'm gonna keep going. So the next part is after you've set your schedule, we know that things change, and so you might need to do some schedule management or editing. So we're gonna discuss viewing your schedule, how to make adjustments to the overall schedule, canceling a student meeting, and then viewing the students that might be scheduled on individual one-on-one sessions. So viewing your schedule, you can always click the link in any of the emails that you received, but we know that emails tend to get lost or filtered out of your inbox. And so the easiest way to get to your fair schedule, and this is true for any fair that you might be registered for in Handshake, is to log into Handshake. You're going to click Fairs on the left side navigation. You'll reach this screen, and in the filter menu, kind of here in the middle, if you check the box next to show registered only, you'll only see the fairs that you're registered for. You can click the applicable fair and it will take you to the screen that we saw a little bit earlier. If you click schedule, you'll be able to see all of your schedules. You get a short summary at the top. So I registered myself as a student for this fair, so you're going to see me all over this. But it says that there's 1 session booked and 13 sessions open. So you get a quick summary, and then you can see any of the sessions that are booked. So this would be me as a student. I am scheduled for the 10 o'clock one-on-one session. You can see the other recruiters as well in this drop-down menu. So anybody that has a one-on-one session, the owner of this schedule can view any of those recruiters. To make adjustments, you would click Manage Sessions, and this is going to take you back to the first step of the process, and you would just kind of go through every feature as as you did during setup and make adjustments as needed. One thing to note is Handshake has been finalizing some of the editing features for the virtual fairs. And so that was expected to be released, I think, last week, but just in case, if they're still working on it, everyone should be able to edit their schedules this week. If you can't, feel free to let me know, me or Carl, and we can contact Handshake and get an update on this. So they're working really quickly to get this finalized, but you should be able to make any adjustments as needed, and we can always step in to assist whenever possible. If you need to cancel a session, you would go to your schedule, click the 3 dots to the right of the session you need to cancel, and then click Cancel Meeting. You'll get the pop-up here at the bottom that just double checks that you want to cancel the one-on-one session. So you can either keep the session open, so keep one-on-one session, or you can cancel it completely and remove it from your calendar. Students will be notified if you cancel a session and remove them. So they'll get an automated message, but we do ask that if you need to cancel a session with a student, that you outreach to them to either encourage them to reschedule or maybe find another time, so that students are just not unaware of why their session may have been canceled. You can contact a student either directly in Handshake, or most students have an email address available on our directory, so you can look them up and email them. Some may also have an email address in a resume that they have public on a Handshake. So there are a couple of ways to contact students. You can also email us and we can contact them on your behalf or get you connected to them directly. If you want to do some research on your students before you meet with them during a virtual fair, the best way to do that is actually to view their profile on Handshake. So viewing your schedule, you get a quick link to view the profile of any student that, that is on your schedule. You can also send a message to them from this area. So to send a message, you would click those 3 dots again and click Send a Message. Now, I do want to give you guys the heads up that messages are one of the ways that Handshake tries to advertise their premium employer access. So messages, you get a free amount of messages that is limited. So just to throw that out there to everybody, once you have contact with a student, you can message them unlimitedly for free. But until then, I think you're limited to 50 or 100 messages per recruiting season. So just be cautious with how you're messaging students in Handshake if you don't have the premium employer access. Student profiles look a little bit like this. This is just the top half of a profile. The bottom half contains some other information like class content or projects that they've worked on, as well as access to any of the public documents that they have uploaded in Handshake, so resumes or cover letters. So you can view a student profile. You'll see, because I use my student profile as the tester, and I've sent messages to myself as various testing within Handshake. So all of my messaging here is unlimited. But otherwise it's 100 message limit. So I'm glad we were able to get an answer for that. Some students, however, do set their profiles as private. And if that's the case, you would not be able to view the student profile even if they're scheduled with you, because they've set it as private. So it's rare that that happens, but occasionally students do choose that option in Handshake. And then finally, here's a quick video. Hopefully my sound will work out just fine, but I'm gonna play it for you. And this is a demonstration of how to access the group session when you get there. The one-on-one sessions look exactly the same. So the process of starting either session is the same, the mechanics. I wanted to provide a quick demonstration of the virtual fair client in Handshake. We'll start off by showing you how to get to the fair and then launch your session. So when you log into Handshake, you will be met with your home screen. To get to the fair, click on Fairs at the bottom of the left side navigation. The easiest way to find the fairs you're registered for is to click the checkbox next to Show Registered Only in the filter menu. For this demonstration, I created a test fair, so I'm going to click on Test to access that fair. And then I'll click Schedule at the top of the fair to view my schedule. We're going to demonstrate the group session, which I have starting at 12 p.m. It's right around 12, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the video. I do use Firefox, and it does ask me to allow pop-ups for Handshake, so please make sure you get those settings set before you start launching. Before I get into the session, it allows me to preview my video here. You can also turn your video off. You can turn your microphone off as well. I have my audio muted right now because I am using my microphone to record the demonstration on a different software. When I'm ready, I'm going to click Join Now. So I want to show you a few of the features within the video client. Typically, there would be other participants here, and you would be able to see their videos throughout the screen. To view the participants that are in attendance, you can click this little group of people here at the top right. It'll give you a list of participants. Right now, you're just seeing me. To open the chat client, you can click the two little chat bubbles and chat to the whole group. This is super helpful if you have multiple recruiters attending. One could be presenting while the other is chatting or monitoring the chat. You can turn your video on and off at the bottom right here, as well as your audio input. You can turn that on and off. And then you can share your screen if you have a presentation that you're presenting in the video. You can easily share your screen there. And then to leave the session and end it for everybody, you would just click Leave Session. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then end the recording shortly after. All right, so that is the demonstration for the virtual fair in Handshake, as well as all of the setup that you guys would need to do. So if there are any questions or you'd like me to review any of the previous slides, I'm going to open the floor.
Megan, we have a question in chat. Can you test your audio and video before joining the session?
Yeah, so in that video, you kind of saw the video of me pop up. So that's the video that you're testing your video there, as well as the audio. So I didn't have my audio turned on for that demonstration, but if you turn your audio on, you should be able to see that. Now, if you're talking about testing it similar to some of the other clients where you can go into the settings and test things, you should be able to do that. There is a settings button on the bottom left. I'm gonna just go to this video really quickly and go back so I can show it to you guys. So this is where you can test your video. I'm sorry, I think it's a little blurry. Before you join, and then while you're there, if you need to adjust settings, there's a settings menu on the bottom left. Hopefully that answered.
And then Megan, we have another question. Do the one-on-one sessions end automatically, or do recruiters need to end each one and then start the next one?
You would need to end each session and start the next one, but I do believe that it gives you a time warning.
Okay. Another question, do all students have to sign up in advance, or can they choose to pop in on the day of the fair?
Great question. So students do have to sign up for a session, but it can happen at any point prior to that session starting. So they can snag an open slot 5 minutes before it's about to start. So it doesn't have to be prior to the fair, but they can't just if a session has already started, they can't just pop in. So there is a schedule kind of requirement there.
Good questions. Any additional questions? Oh, one more. There's the question of getting copies of the presentation to review if we need to view again later. So yes, we are going to take a recording of the session and send that recording out to everyone who registered in advance of attending. And then we'll also have it available on YouTube. Is there an evaluation form to complete on each student we meet, or is that something we need to do on our own?
So that would be something that you would do on your own. You can take notes on student profiles in Handshake, but there's no formal evaluation. This virtual fair is really meant to be a replacement to an in-person fair. So we're kind of advertising it with you going in like you would do an in-person fair. You're talking to people kind of on a one-on-one basis and then quickly moving on to the next person. So if you wanted to do any kind of evaluation, that would be something that you guys would set up on your end and track on your own.
Okay. Any additional questions before we wrap up today? Okay. Oh, question, do you have to do one-on-one sessions?
No, you do not have to do one-on-one sessions. However, you are limited to only 3 30-minute sessions. Most of our fairs are about 2 to 3 hours. So you can only do 3 sessions, and they are limited to 50 students if you're going to use Handshake's video tool. If you want to do it external to Handshake, then it can host as many as your preferred client can host, but only 3 would be advertised. So yeah, totally fine to just do group sessions if that is your preference.
Another question is, are employer office hours done through Handshake? So Gerald, that's a different program that we offer for employers to do virtual office hours. We have a separate reservation tool to be able to do that. And then we can help promote that to students. And then if you have a platform that you would like to use to conduct that, that's fine. Otherwise, we could help you set that up through Zoom. And Gerald, I will send you that link to be able to go ahead and reserve some virtual office hours. Sarah had the question, do we get a list of students we met with after the fair, and are we able to download resumes?
Great question. So there's no list after the fair, but you should be able to access your schedule, which shows each student that's scheduled with you at any time, even after the event. And then as far as resumes, you won't get a list of resumes. Students are not required to submit a resume to participate in a fair. However, you can request that from students. So you can see the list of students who registered prior to the fair starting. So you can either send them a message in Handshake. Many of them might have a public resume in their Handshake profile that you can download. You can email them by accessing their email from SLU's directory on the website to gather resumes. We can also add a link to a form for collecting resumes to the description that you have on your fair registration. That's something that I can help with if it's of interest. I can make any edits to that, and then prior to the fair, students can view that that short description that you add and click the link and send their resume to you. So there's a couple different options for collecting resumes prior to the fair, or requesting them from the student to send to you after the fair.
Kristen had the question about changing the duration of the one-on-one sessions. Kristen, those are capped at 10-minute sessions each. However, if the session does go less than 10 minutes, you always have the opportunity to wrap that conversation up with the student a little early. So the answer to that is no, you're not able to change the length of time for those sessions. Okay. Any other questions? These are all good. Okay. Well, I would like to thank Megan for sharing all of this great information with us, and thank you to everyone that attended. As indicated, after Thursday's training session we have on Thursday morning, we will be making this a recording of one of the 2 sessions available on YouTube, and we will be getting that out to participants as well. Again, thank you for your participation, and we look forward to meeting with you soon.
Thanks, guys.